In this video, I'm going to show you how window bars stopped break-ins before cameras existed, the old iron security system that made a window stop being the easiest way into a house and start acting like it had a backbone. And then, somewhere along the way, we decided to stop using them. Starting with, alright, picture this. It is 1920. A small brick house sits on a city street. No doorbell camera. No motion light. No alarm company sticker pretending to scare criminals like a tiny piece of vinyl has authority. Just a row of windows, each one protected by heavy iron bars. A burglar walks up to the side window because, in his mind, glass is the weak spot. He thinks this is going to be simple. Break the pane, reach in, unlock the sash, climb through, and be inside before anyone fully wakes up. Except the bars are in the way. Not decorative bars. Not thin little pieces of metal meant to look old-fashioned. Real iron bars mounted into the masonry or frame, thick enough to make prying annoying, close enough together that a person cannot squeeze through, strong enough that breaking the glass no longer solves the problem. That is the whole point of window bars. They turn the window from an invitation into an obstacle. They did not need Wi-Fi, they did not need batteries, they did not ask you to update firmware, they just sat there, quietly ruining someone's bad idea. Today, most homes do not use them. We use cameras, sensors, alarms, smart locks, and apps. Those tools are useful, sure, but a camera can watch someone break a window. Bars make breaking the window pointless. That is a very different kind of security. Windows have always been a problem for home security because glass is fragile. A door can be thick, a lock can be strong, a frame can be reinforced, but a window has one obvious weakness. The see-through part is breakable. Older builders knew that. In cities, shops, warehouses, row houses, basement apartments, and ground floor homes, window bars were a practical solution. They protected the easiest openings. They were especially common where windows faced alleys, streets, courtyards, or other places where someone could approach without being seen easily. The idea goes back centuries. Iron grills and bars appeared in European buildings, colonial structures, storefronts, jails, banks, churches, and homes. Sometimes they were plain. Sometimes they were beautifully forged. Sometimes they were so decorative that people forget they were still security. But the purpose was simple. Keep people out while still allowing light and air. That was the genius of them. A solid shutter could cover the whole window, but then the window was closed. Bars allowed the window to remain a window. Light came in. Air could move. People could see out, but a body could not easily pass through. That is old school design at its best. It solved a real problem without turning the room into a cave. Before cameras existed, before alarm sensors became common, before a phone could tell you someone was on your porch, a window bar gave protection that was always on. It did not sleep. It did not miss motion. It did not need a good internet connection. It simply existed. The basic concept was almost embarrassingly simple. Put strong metal across the opening so the opening can no longer be used as an entrance. But the details mattered. Good bars had to be anchored well. If the bars were only attached to weak trim, a determined person could pry them loose. But if the bars were set into masonry, bolted into framing, or mounted with serious hardware, the window became much harder to defeat. The spacing mattered too. Bars had to be close enough that a person could not squeeze between them. This seems obvious, but buildings are full of obvious things that somebody eventually forgets. A bar system with wide gaps is basically a ladder with confidence. The thickness mattered. Thin bars could be bent or cut more easily. Heavier iron or steel increased the work required. The shape mattered as well. Round bars, square bars, flat bars, welded grills, and decorative ironwork all changed how easy the system was to grip, pry, or cut. And then there was the frame. Just like old crossbar doors and heavy shutters, window bars depended on what held them. The bar itself could be strong, but if the mounting failed, the system failed. Old builders who cared about security tied the bars into the building, not just the decorative surface. That is why old window bars worked. They made the building participate. From a burglar's point of view, window bars are terrible news. A normal window gives several easy options. Break the glass, pry the sash, reach the latch, lift the window, climb in. It is not elegant, but it works often enough that ground floor windows have always been a tempting target. Window bars interrupt that entire plan. Break the glass? Fine. Now what? You still cannot fit through. Reach the latch? Maybe, but opening the window still does not remove the bars. Pry the frame? That takes time. Cut the bars? That takes tools, noise, and more time. Pull the bars loose? Only if the installation is weak. Security is not always about making entry impossible forever. It is about making entry slow, loud, risky, and unattractive. Bars do that well. A burglar wants the easy house, not the house that requires a metalworking project at midnight. That is why bars were so effective before cameras. They did not record the crime. They discouraged the attempt. They took away the fast option. And if there is one thing criminals hate, it is a plan that suddenly becomes work. Cameras are useful. Let's be fair. A camera can record evidence. It can alert you. It can let you see who is outside. It can scare off some people who do not want to be filmed looking stupid on a porch. But cameras are mostly detection. Window bars are resistance. That difference matters. Detection tells you something is happening. Resistance makes the thing harder to do. A camera may show someone breaking your window. A sensor may tell you glass broke. An alarm may scream after the opening is already compromised. But bars physically remain in the way. Modern security loves information. Old security loved obstruction. The best home security uses both. It is not cameras versus bars. It is cameras plus physical barriers. But many modern homes lean heavily on notification and forget resistance. We like smart devices because they feel advanced. We like apps because they give us control. But if the physical opening is weak, the app is basically a witness with a nice interface. A window bar is not a witness. It is a bouncer. That is why the old system still matters. If there was one place window bars made the most sense, it was the basement window. Basement windows sit low, often hidden by shrubs, fences, side yards, or shadow. They are not usually the dramatic front of the house. They are the sneaky little openings people forget about until someone else notices them first. Older homes often treated those basement openings seriously. Small windows, iron grates, metal bars, or hinged grills made sense because nobody wanted the cellar becoming the easiest doorway in the building. A basement window may look harmless, but if it leads into the house, it is still an entry point. Modern homeowners sometimes spend money on the front door, then ignore the basement window behind the bushes. That is like buying a strong safe and leaving the back panel made of cardboard. Old bars were blunt reminders that every opening counts. Now, here is the serious part. Window bars did not disappear only because people got lazy or cheap. They had a real problem. Fire safety. If bars are fixed over a window and people inside need to escape during a fire, those bars can become deadly. That is not theoretical. Fire departments have warned about this for decades. Windows are emergency exits, especially in bedrooms and lower floors. If a window is barred and cannot be opened quickly from inside, the same device that keeps criminals out can trap residents in. That is the dark side of window bars. Security has to work both directions. It has to keep the wrong people out without locking the right people in. A fixed bar system may stop a burglar, but if it blocks escape, it creates a different danger. This is one major reason window bars became controversial. In many places, building codes and safety rules require quick-release mechanisms for bedroom windows or emergency escape openings. Bars can still be used, but they need interior releases that can be opened fast without special tools, keys, or complicated instructions. That is where the old system needed modernization. The principle was good. The fixed version could be dangerous. A security feature should not turn your bedroom into a trap. Window bars faded from many residential neighborhoods for several reasons. First, aesthetics. A lot of homeowners simply do not like the look. Bars can make a house feel like a jail, even if the bars are decorative and well made. People want homes to look open, friendly, bright, and welcoming. Iron bars send a different message. Sometimes that message is secure. Sometimes it is, please enjoy our prison-themed breakfast nook. Second, fire safety. As we just said, fixed bars can block emergency escape. That made them less appealing, especially for bedrooms and family homes. Third, changing neighborhoods. In some areas, people stopped feeling the need for visible physical barriers. Whether that feeling was always realistic is another conversation, but perception matters. If a neighborhood felt safer, bars seemed unnecessary. Fourth, modern security technology. Cameras, alarms, sensors, and smart home systems made people feel protected without changing the appearance of the house. A hidden sensor is visually easier than iron bars over every ground floor window. Fifth, cost and installation. Good bars are not just cheap metal stuck on the wall. They need correct sizing, strong mounting, rust protection, sometimes custom fabrication, and safe release hardware. Cheap versions look bad and can be unsafe. Good versions cost money. So bars faded, not because they stopped working, because they came with trade-offs modern homeowners did not always want. There is another uncomfortable reason window bars disappeared from many homes: image. At some point, Bars became associated with poorer neighborhoods, urban crime, storefronts, rentals, and places people thought of as dangerous. Even if that association was unfair, it shaped how homeowners viewed them. People did not want their house to look like it needed bars. They wanted the appearance of safety, not the visible evidence of fear. That is a strange part of home design. Sometimes people reject useful security because it looks too honest. A camera looks modern. A smart doorbell looks tech-savvy. A clean alarm panel looks responsible. But bars on a window say, in plain language, this opening needed physical protection. Some people do not want their house saying that out loud. So window bars moved from common, practical hardware to something many homeowners avoided unless they felt they had no choice. The irony is that hidden vulnerability did not disappear. The windows were still glass, the frames were still frames, the easy entry point was still there. We just made the house look less defended. Sometimes modern design prefers comfort over truth. Here's the part people forget. Window bars did not have to be ugly. Old ironwork could be beautiful. Spanish-style homes, Mediterranean houses, old city buildings, and historic storefronts often used decorative grills that were both security and art. Curves, scrolls, spear points, geometric patterns, and forged details could make the bars look intentional instead of desperate. In many parts of the world, window grills are still normal. They are part of the architecture. Nobody looks at them and thinks the house is automatically a jail. They think the house has ironwork. The difference is cultural and design-based. America, especially in many suburbs, moved toward open windows, clean facades, and invisible security. Bars became visually associated with danger instead of craftsmanship. That is not because bars had to look bad. It is because we stopped designing them as part of the house. A well-designed grill can protect a window and add character. A cheap bolt-on cage can make a home look like it is serving a sentence. Design matters. Visible security changes behavior. That is one reason bars worked. A camera may or may not be noticed. A sensor is invisible, but iron bars send a message before anyone touches the window. This is not the easiest target. That message matters. Most break-ins are not planned, like movie heists with blueprints and dramatic music. Many are opportunistic. Someone looks for the weak point, the hidden window, the fast entry. If the window already looks difficult, the person may move on. That is not paranoia. That is basic human laziness working in favor of the homeowner. If one house requires tools, noise, and effort, and another house has an unprotected window behind a hedge, guess which one looks better to someone with bad intentions? Window bars still exist today, but the better version solves some old problems. Modern security bars can include quick-release systems for emergency escape. Some are hinged, allowing them to open from inside. Some are removable. Some are decorative grills designed to match the house. Some are installed only on basement windows, side windows, or vulnerable ground floor openings, where escape is less of a concern or where code allows proper release. There are also alternatives. Security film can make glass harder to break through. Laminated glass holds together better than standard glass. Window pins and locks can stop sashes from sliding open. Sensors and cameras can add detection. Rolling shutters or security screens can provide physical resistance without the same visual impact as fixed bars. But none of those options changes the original lesson. Windows need layers. If the only thing between outside and inside is plain glass, then the house is trusting a fragile material to do a security job. Glass is great for sunlight. It is not great as a bouncer. That is why bars worked. They gave glass backup. If this topic makes you uncomfortable, good. Go look at your windows. Start with the ground floor. Which windows are easy to reach? Which ones are hidden from the street? Which ones are behind bushes, fences, side yards, or dark corners? Those are the windows that matter most. Check the locks. Do they actually work, or do they just make a tiny clicking sound that makes everyone feel better? Can the window be lifted from outside? Could someone break a small pane and reach the latch? Is there a basement window that looks like it was installed as a personal challenge to burglars? Then think in layers. Maybe you do not want bars. Fine, use stronger locks, window pins, security film, laminated glass, motion lighting, cameras, or security screens. But do not confuse detection with resistance. A camera watching weak glass is still watching weak glass. If you do use bars, make sure they are safe. Bedrooms and emergency escape windows need quick-release hardware. Everyone in the house should know how to open them. No keys hidden across the room. No complicated little latch that requires reading instructions while smoke fills the hallway. Security that traps you is bad security. Bars also required maintenance. Iron rusts, paint flakes, bolts loosen. Hinges on release grills need attention. If the bars were decorative, they had to look decent. If they were functional, they had to stay strong. That meant scraping, painting, checking anchors, and making sure quick-release hardware still worked. Modern homeowners often want security that disappears into the background. They want it clean, quiet, and low maintenance. Window bars asked for more honesty. They were there. You saw them. You had to take care of them. For some people, that was one more reason to choose cameras and sensors instead. That old lesson still matters because a window is never just decoration. It is an opening, and every opening needs a plan before trouble finds it first. Window bars stopped break-ins before cameras existed because they solved the real problem directly. The window was vulnerable, so they physically blocked the opening. That is not complicated. That is why it worked. We stopped using them because they had trade-offs. They could look harsh. They could be dangerous without quick release. They required maintenance. They cost money. They carried social stigma. And modern technology offered security that felt cleaner, smarter, and less visible. But the physics never changed. Glass still breaks. Ground floor windows still matter. Hidden side windows still invite trouble. Cameras still record more than they resist. The old bars were blunt. They were visible. They were sometimes ugly. But they understood one thing perfectly. If you do not want someone entering through a window, put something stronger than glass in the way. Today, we do not always need old iron bars on every window, but we should remember the lesson they taught. Security is not just seeing danger. Sometimes, security is making danger stop at the window. That is the old lesson modern houses forgot.